Here's USA Today's ranking of the best available NFL free agents left on the market, and it is quite a list. I saw it when I just woke up this morning, and it woke me up. I'm going to read it in order. Bear with me. Justin Simmons, Tyron Smith of the Cowboys, Chase Young, Calvin Ridley, Hollywood Brown, Eric Armstead, Kendall Fuller, Stephon Gilmore of the Cowboys, Devin White, Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Reader, Bobby Wagner, Quandre Diggs, Julian Blackmon, Xavier Howard, Cameron Curl, Tre'Davious White, Eric Kendricks, Rashawn Jenkins, Curtis Samuel, he brought him up earlier, Trent Brown, Jonah Williams, Calais Campbell, Adoree Jackson, and finally, bringing up the rear at number 25, three-time Pro Bowler Jamal Adams. Man, Keyshawn, biggest surprise left on this list?
Biggest surprise left on the list? I would probably say Chase Young and Calvin Ridley, both of those guys. Both of them, but it's not, the free agency just starting, right? I'm surprised they didn't get early action.
Yeah.
That's what I'm surprised at.
I'm with you.
And maybe they did, and it's just not, the numbers aren't where they want them to be. They say, hey, I'll wait a week into it and let it flush out, and then maybe that money will be there. But I like Chase Young. You don't like him, whatever, for whatever reason, I have no idea. But when he's right, he could apply pressure. Okay, he could change some things in the game. That's the way I've always seen him. I saw him that way at Ohio State. He's not Nick Bosa, but he's a hell of a football player, man. You can tell in San Francisco that he was getting around the quarterback, getting to the quarterback, causing problems. It helped that defensive line out immensely. Then Calvin Ridley, before he got suspended, you know, he was a 1,000+ yard receiver and ridiculous.
He's big time.
So I don't know what Jacksonville decided to do with him and not retain him, because they probably feel like it's too expensive to have him, Zay Jones, and Christian Kirk all with big salaries, and then they just went out and got another receiver. So I don't know what that is there. Other than that, Stephon Gilmore, I didn't even realize that he was on the market till the other day. I thought that the Cowboys would at least have given him an opportunity to return, because he had a pretty solid veteran year, especially when Diggs got hurt. He traveled with the ones and did a pretty good job.
He did.
Jadeveon Clowney's another one I'm thinking that the Ravens are waiting to see if he gets out into the open market. This will be like his 5th team or so in so many years.
I don't understand it, but go ahead.
That they would say, okay, here's what we got for you now. You didn't get what you got, you know, we're looking for out on the open market. Come back home with us. And the other guys on this list, Xavier Howard, I expect for him to get it. Julian Blackmon, I expect for him. You know, an interesting one out of all is Devin White, the Buccaneers. That linebacker out of LSU, for whatever he got into with the Buccaneers front office and decided to say, okay, I don't want to be here. Y'all don't want to pay me right. I want to get out of here. He might be somebody that could certainly help change the defense. It might be something that you guys like in Dallas.
I agree.
So it all just depends on the money at this point.
All right, back to Chase Young. I have nothing personal against him. I just don't like the consistency of his energy and effort. His motor runs lower than a Nick Bosa's or J.J. Watt, whoever you want to talk about. He doesn't have enough snap, crackle, pop.
I mean,
every
he's 3
play
on this list, so out of the top 25 free agents left, he's 3.
But I'm going to remind you, nobody jumped in day 1 or day 2. Nobody said, I got to have him. There was the Danielle Hunter trade to the Texans yesterday, and it was a trade, but he's big time to me. I'll take him over Chase Young. He is more consistent, high effort, high motor pass rusher than Chase Young. Chase Young is like gravy to me. He's luxury. And if you put him on a line that has, Eric Armstead's on this list, but with Nick Bosa, all of a sudden, he's going to get loose every once in a while, and he's going to cause problems. But they have not moved to keep him. And who'd they add the other day? Floyd,
but just because somebody doesn't move to keep you doesn't mean that you're not an important piece
but if you're that guy, they just do it. Somebody would just show, like Christian Wilkins. whatever, Antonio Pierce and company and their new GM, they just said, man, we got to have that. We don't have that. That's the anchor to our defensive line. It's $84 million in guaranteed dollars for him. That is a huge commitment, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pay off.
But when you jump like that, we've seen it in the past, whether it's Albert Haynesworth from Tennessee to Washington. How did that work out?
Don't put that on them.
No, I'm just saying, when you look at somebody, we got to have that. Doesn't always work out the way that you want it to.
Yeah.
So these 25 guys on this list may be getting action that we don't know, and the numbers and the fit isn't there for them. Yeah. That all of a sudden, Chase Young might be looking for $27 million a year, just throwing a number out there.
He might.
And somebody says, well, we're not giving you 27, we'll give you 15.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'll just wait. I don't know. It's hard for me to look at Calvin Ridley and say, well, why wouldn't somebody...
I'm with you. Yeah,
that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
To me, Chase Young's more of a third down pass rusher, and that's fine.
It's gotta be a good fit.
He could be really intriguing to have. All right, I'm going to start at number 8 on this list. I am the biggest fan of Stephon Gilmore as a player coach, to have him in your room, to have him on the field. He was really good for my team, and he did bang up his shoulder. It got dislocated, and he had to wear a sling brace against Green Bay, so maybe he wasn't quite himself. He's going to turn 34 during the regular season.
Can he play?
He can just play because he plays with his head more than his body.
Can he play football?
Yeah. To me, he's extremely valuable, and I hope against hope my team can retain him.
Yeah, but I don't know. Well, I don't even know what he made last year, and I don't know what he could potentially be asking. Yeah. But I'm going to just say, what if he's asking $10 million a year? To you, you're like, okay, pay that, because his value to you is greater than the money that he would earn.
Yep.
But to the Dallas Cowboys in the front office, they're saying, well, if we give him 10 and we get this dude 10 and we get this other dude and the dudes that we try, we ain't got no money. Yeah, that's what they're going to say.
I understand. Well, the quarterback makes a lot in Dallas.
And he's going to make more, as he should.
Okay, way to go. Great. Okay, now I'm down to number 9 on the list that you fixated on, and I am 1,000% with you about Devin White, because in that Super Bowl run that Brady had in 2020, every time you want to talk about jump off your TV screen, Devin White jumps off your TV screen, because you want to talk about sudden as a blitzer. Woo-hoo!
You can play.
You want to talk about athletic. You want to talk about wallop that he can inflict on people.
But the Bucs had to make a decision.
They did.
To make a decision.
And I don't know what happened to him last year, but his production fell way off. I don't know what was going on. I haven't asked. I don't know. I just know what he has done. He did make the Pro Bowl in 2021. He is a talented, he just turned 26. So don't tell me he's, starting to get washed. There are consistency issues with him, but man, I would take him because he can play. And he's shown me in the biggest games. In 2020, when they got on their Super Bowl roll, he was a terror, man. And is he just lost it? I don't think so. I can't defend the numbers last year, but phew. And then if I go down the list a little farther, you've brought him up many times. Bobby Wagner's just a football player to me. Would I like to have him on my defense? Yes, I would. And he's up there. He'll be 34 at the start of next year, okay?
But what's that number?
Okay.
What's that number?
All he did, the number from last year was during the year, he led the NFL in tackles with 183. So that's going to be his number that he's going to push across the table.
But where are those tackles?
Yeah.
Are those tackles at line of scrimmage? Or 6 yards beyond the line of scrimmage?
To me, in the end, tackles are tackles. He's just going to tackle.
Tackles are not tackles.
No, but I'm saying he is productive football player.
He's very
and he does it every year.
And when he retires, his name will be mentioned at some point in time in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
It just will be.
But when you got 180 tackles, where are the tackles at, though? No, that matters.
Okay, it does. But you know what? His helmet's always in the middle of it.
Well, he's a good football player.
Yeah. He's just going to be where the football is.
But do you want a 34-year-old linebacker?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Do you want to pay a 34-year-old linebacker that may have some gas left in the tank?
He might.
Or do you want to go younger and get a Devin White for the same amount of money that you could sign a Bobby Wagner for?
Yeah.
Those are all the decisions that people are trying to make right now.
Okay, and finally, this is another favorite of mine because I've liked Burrow and the Bengals. DJ Reader is out there on the market, and he tore his quad last year, and it was a terrible. It's one of those where you just like, oh my God. But I'm going to assume he can come back from that. Listen, he was heart and soul of a defense that got within a couple of plays of winning the Super Bowl. So he's another one. He's valuable. He's a difference maker to me. These are all potential moves where you say, I'll take that. And I guess...
You mentioned all these dudes except in the receivers. You don't want no receiver? You happy there?
I got the best one in pro football right now. And I know, listen, the draft is... I watched all the combine. I watched all those receivers run. There are 20 of them who can play. And I'm sure Jerry's sitting back because he wants to pick players in the draft. He can take more credit for it than just plunging in free agency and going and buying somebody. He wants to draft them and raise them, and he will try to raise another receiver.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I just, you know, I'm just looking out for you and the holes that you need to plug.
Yeah, well, it's funny. We've won 12 games for 3 straight years, and we got holes everywhere. We're leaking oil, right? Well,
as you got exited 27-0 at half.
27-0 at half.
So there was a hole somewhere.
Yeah.
Where was that hole? It was somewhere.
I don't know. It was in the head. Hole in the head. That's what we got of our coach.
Oh,
okay. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.